I had a dream once. I think I woke up. This is a real thing that happened to me a while back. I don't think it's a supernatural thing, but it's still weird and off-putting. Some parts have been a little exaggerated, but nothing big. Do you ever get those dreams? You know, the ones that wake you up in the dream. I had never gotten them as a kid. I guess I was lucky. My sister suffered from horrid nightmares as a kid. Her bedroom was directly above mine, so I would often awake to her screaming at the top of her lungs. I remember those screams well. They were that of pure fear. I've never heard anything like them since. She often had dreams in which a man in a hat would speak to her. You will never awake until your punishment is through. You will only wake to false worlds. The man would bellow in a tone almost lower than hell itself. True to his word, she never woke up until every member of the family was violently murdered. Our throats would be ripped out. We would be drowned on one particularly bad night. He made her take a knife and bleed us. As I said, I had never had much in the way of dreams or nightmares. But as my sister started to shake loose these horrid dreams, I started to have more and more. They were nothing like those that my sister experienced, but I did start to have dreams. It was years later. I was now a teenager. I was around 13 to 14 years old now, and I had still never had nightmares like my sister. I had moved houses into a new town that was much smaller than the large city I had previously lived in. It was the summertime, and I had organized a sleepover at my friend's place. I will be calling him Jake to hide his identity. Jake moved around a lot. When I knew him, he went through 3 houses in 1 year. He never moved far. He always stayed in the same area but in a different house. This current house of his was a large middle-class house with a guest bedroom and 2 stories. Jake was a very spoiled kid looking back on it. He would often yell at his mom when he did not get his way. He had a large gaming setup in his bedroom that consisted of multiple monitors and a very expensive PC that I am certain that his parents bought for him. I no longer talk to him, but the brief glimpses I see of him remind me of 2016 humor being endlessly slamming into your head. I had not got much of these aspects at the time though, so I was still befriended to him. We spent weeks planning this sleepover. When it finally came, the day was smoldering hot. Going outside was akin to having your skin melted off of the bone, revealing only your muscles and veins. Due to this heat, we had spent the day indoors. We decided to play video games and do other miscellaneous activities. By the end of the day, I was exhausted. The mix of heat and dealing with the cringe being emitted from Jake's body left me completely drained. They had decided to let me use the guest bedroom. The bed was soft, and I had fallen asleep almost instantly. The next morning, I had to wake up semi-early to go to a doctor's appointment, so I had set an alarm on my phone. Just to make sure that I woke up to it though. I had also made sure to put it directly next to my head at full volume. I had done thing before, and it woke me up every single time without fail. As I drifted asleep, I had thought of the dreams that my sister had. I have no clue why it came to mind that day, but it did. I eventually drifted off, and for a while everything was fine, but then, I woke up. My alarm went off, and I got up and packed my things. I walked out to the living room area of the second floor. Jake's mom was cooking eggs. "Good morning, want some eggs?" "Nah, I'm heading out soon. Thanks though." "Okay, could you see if Jake is Awa?" A man in a large black hat had instantly appeared behind her and ripped her throat out. He glared at me as I screamed. Suddenly I felt air through my chest. I looked down to see a gaping hole where my chest once was. I screamed and screamed in the most agonizing pain I had ever felt, but then, I woke up. I was back in the guest bedroom bed as my alarm blared. I sighed a sigh of relief. I thought my dream was strange but quickly got packed up and moved on. I entered the living room to see that I was the only one awake. I got a text from my mother after a little bit and headed out to the car. I opened the door and was greeted by the man staring daggers into my soul. I saw my mother's head in his hands as he reached for my throat. He choked me to death, and I felt my life drift off. But then, I woke up. I woke up in the guest room again, but it was now blackened and decrepit. Blood stained the floors. I looked up to once again see the man in a hat. "This is your punishment. You will not awake unless someone wakes you. Your alarm will never work." I pointlessly screamed but was quickly silenced by a sharp object entering my head. The pain was awful and I felt the warm grasp of death, but then, I woke up. I left the room immediately and rushed out the front door. I ran and soon found myself in an old and run-down library. I entered the building and ran to the front desk. No one was there. It was just me, scampering around the building like a frightened rat. I sat at a bench and soon saw the man enter through the doors. Suddenly, the room started filling with water. I gasped for air but only lasted 2 minutes before I felt death creep in, but then, I was awoken. It was Jake's mom. She had woken me up as my mom had pulled into the driveway. "Are you okay? You look pale." I looked around, but the man was nowhere in sight. "I'm fine thanks. Just had a rough night." I left the house with my things, and as I got into the car checked my alarm. It had gone off, right next to my head at full volume 3 times 5 minutes apart. There's no way I wouldn't have woken up normally. Sometimes I really wonder if I'm really awake. I wonder if the man is still out there. I went home and nothing strange happened since, but then I woke up.